So once again, good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups Kansas City, special edition. We're highlighting the Royals today because Mr. Kauffman, for those of you who don't know, owned the Royals. So we're gonna make it a special day here at the Kauffman Foundation. So we have a bunch of groups here this morning. So I would like to welcome the Associated Managers of Innovation, the students from Fort Osage. There's a group from Ice House from all over the world, Fast Track, and the Liberty High School administrators. So first, my name is Courtney. I'm a community organizer with 1 Million Cups, along with Melissa, Brian, Lance, and Milton. For those of you that are here for the first time, 1 Million Cups is an educational program around entrepreneurs. So we have two presenters that they present for 6 minutes, and then we open it up to our panel for Q&A along with the audience. So who's here for the first time? Raise your hand. Oh, wow. Thank you for coming and supporting 1 Million Cups. Okay, I would like to bring up the Kauffman 1 Million Cups team to talk a little bit about Mr. K and why this day is special.
We just want to welcome all of you, as was previously done, but it's a very, very special week here in Kansas City, as you know. Every week, we have individuals come to 1 Million Cups, and we celebrate the legacy of Mr. Kauffman, that legacy being entrepreneurship and his desire and heartfelt wishes to help, to help all entrepreneurs. I'm sure he would have never done that. But his wishes to help all entrepreneurs and all people get to a point in their lives that they can be financially independent. We do that every week. This week, we're also celebrating his other legacy here in Kansas City, which was his love for baseball. He brought the Royals to Kansas City, and we love, love, love to celebrate that legacy here as well. So we have little cookies. Woohoo! Taylor and Prentice had some cookies made for you all today so that you can help us celebrate. And whether you're at the K tonight, or whether you're at a bar tonight, or whether you're at home watching the game with your loved ones, cheer them on. We got 4 games to win. So go Royals.
Go Royals.
Go Royals.
Okay, thank you. Also, we have a special guest, Rachel Merlot from Google Fiber, and she wants to make an announcement.
Thank you. About 2 years ago, we installed our first customer in the Kansas City Startup Village, and we have been so excited to be part of what's happening in this energy in Kansas City. Excited about the energy this week around baseball, and it's Google for Entrepreneurs Week. So as everyone is in a mood of celebrating and being very proud to be part of Kansas City, we wanted to do something to give back. And today we have the great honor to be able to send somebody to the ballpark. And even our friends here at 1 Million Cups don't know who's going to the ball game, but there are a lot of people who do things big and small to make the entrepreneurial scene really happen here in Kansas City, from our support orgs and leaders to the people that are rolling up their sleeves every day, just like those boys in blue do at the ballpark at night. So one of the guys that we just kind of got to talking to this morning, like, oh, he totally enjoy going to the ballpark. And if you're free tonight, Mark Nolte, how do you feel about going to a ball game? So we've got 2 tickets and a parking pass. Have a great time.
Thank you. Wow.
So
I can't believe it. I go to 20 games a year.
now it's 21.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm so disappointed I couldn't go to the World Series. So, it's like
Have
a dream
fun.
come true. I
Have
think I'm
fun.
dreaming. Don't wake me up. Wow. Thank you so much.
That's
Oh,
great
thank
too.
you.
Great to get to meet
Wow.
you.
Go Royals.
Thanks.
Okay, I would like to welcome our panel today. They'll get up and tell a little bit about themselves and why they're here. Yeah, turn it on.
Is this on? Yep. Okay, it's been 29 years since I've been in the World Series, so we're not going to let it go that easy, okay? On a 1, 2, and a 3, we're going to say, let's go Royals. You ready? And I need it loud. 1, 2, 3. Let's go Royals! I'm Jeff Shackelford. I run a program called the Digital Sandbox here in Kansas City, and we help early stage entrepreneurs take an idea and hopefully turn it into a business. Hire people, make lots of money, and then give it all back so we can do it again and have more and more businesses. So what a great crowd. Welcome to the Indians from Fort Osage, the Blue Jays from Liberty. I know that because I competed against both of the high schools in the Stone Ages when I was still there. So welcome. Welcome to all the first-timers. Terrific event. We're going to win tonight. Let's not forget the last time we won, just in case anybody got nervous. We got down 3-1 and then took the next 3.
My name is Brud Jones. I've grown up in Kansas City, and I'm here because I've known Prentice for a long time, and I've known Brian for a long time, and I've had a couple of startups, and some successful, some not so successful. So hopefully I can contribute a good question or two this morning.
One more.
How we doing, KC? My name's Richard Shipley. I'm founder and CEO of LocalStart.org. We operate the Made in Kansas City initiative, which is an initiative to bring locally made goods to the forefront of people's minds here in Kansas City. A 1 Million Cups alumni and a longtime supporter, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we got on deck today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Without further ado, I would like to bring up our first presenter. It's Joe Brickner from Novodial, and this is a little bit different for 1 Million Cups today because our startup is a pharmaceutical company. So welcome, Joe.
Well, good morning. It's a real pleasure to be here this morning to talk to you about the new vitamin D. Now, I'd like to see a show of hands, if I could. How many in here take a vitamin D supplement today? Wow, that's great. That's great. Second question, how many of you know what the vitamin D level is in your blood? Hands. Not many, but good. Great. How many know how valuable vitamin D is to the body? Okay, well, good. I want to show you a slide that basically says, these are some samples of news articles that I just Googled. And very recently, last couple weeks, Googled them to say, okay, what happens with vitamin D? Why is it so important? And look at these things. Just, first of all, everybody probably knew how it helps your bones and et cetera, but we're talking about helping with diabetes, hypertension, all the way down. Number 8 is my favorite at my age. I'm on my 4th career, so I'm going to get it right one of these times, but I definitely qualify for the elderly. And so vitamin D is very important to me. How does it work? Well, your body doesn't create vitamin D on its own. It has to have an outside source. That outside source is either the sun or you have to have it somewhere into your diet. One of those 2 ways. And the way it works is through photosynthesis, it'll come through and become vitamin D3. That's the same thing that you buy in the store. D3 gets into your blood. In order for it to be effective, though, it has to make its way down to the liver. Same way with your diet. Whatever you eat, it may be meat, fish, mushrooms, a supplement that you take, it has to get to the liver. So it goes through the stomach, small intestine, eventually gets into the blood eventually circulates to the liver. Once it gets to the liver, then it turns into what's known as 25-hydroxy-D, 25-OHD. That then goes into your blood system, eventually gets to the kidney. The kidney then converts it into what's known as 125-D. That's the active hormone. That's what you have to be effective. You have to get it to the 125 level. So, in the last 10 years, scientists have discovered they always thought you needed to get through the kidney to get the 125D. But they've discovered in the last 10 years that, unbeknownst to them, the 25D that's coming out of your liver and goes into your blood system can actually merge with cells. And actually about 80% of the vitamin D effect that you have comes through this process. Goes to the cells where there are receptors, and the cells themselves turn it into 125. So you don't have to get all the way to the kidney for about 80% of your needs. The other 20% does need to get to your kidney because it takes care of different organs like your thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, those types of things. So you still need to go through your kidney for some, but most is taken care of by the cells. Okay, well, you kind of understand how it works then, how important it is. Where do you have to be? Okay, we probably had about 8 or 10 people raise their hand and say, okay, I know what my levels are. Well, the only way you're going to know your level is you have to go to the doctor, and they're going to have to draw the blood, and they're going to have to see how much blood serum comes up with the 25-OHD. So they're measuring what comes out of your liver and goes back into the blood system. That's the 25-OHD they're measuring. The ideal level is between 30 and 75 nanograms per milliliter. And they'll tell you where you are. I had mine done recently, and I'm at a 47. So I'm in pretty decent shape. But I take a large amount of vitamin D3 supplement every day. Why do I do that? I'm not out in the sun, and neither are you for the most part. Now, you kids probably are. I mean, you guys are always out doing things. Wait till you get old like us, and you can't, okay? But even when you're out in the sun, you're putting on sunscreen. All that keeps the UVB rays out, and photosynthesis can't work. So we as a society, and the world in general, is not getting enough vitamin D. What do we have? We've got the worldwide license to the once-a-week dosage of 25-OHD. That's what we've got. Nobody else in any of the worldwide markets that that our patent is good in, no one else has the once-a-week dosage to reach these levels. We've got it covered. Our inventor, who's known as the father of vitamin D, he's got over 300 patents to his name. He's a professor out of the University of Wisconsin. He's got a lot of business acumen. And what he did is he created the patent that says not only do we have 25-OHD on a weekly basis, but you have to be between 30 and 200. And if you try to come up with a dosage of once a week, you can do that, but it has to be less than 30 or over 200. So you're either deficient or toxic. So we've cornered the market on the once-a-week dosage. What markets? Well, these are the markets that we're attacking: Australia, USA, Europe, and Japan. Why Australia? Well, our patent issued there first, over a year earlier than what the patent issued in the US. It just recently issued in the US, it was May of this year, but over a year before that, it issued in Australia. So we decided we're going to attack Australia first. And we've been working very diligently. Our company's about 2 years old at this point. And those 2 years, we have been going real hard going after Australia. At the same time, we're trying to create what we need to move forward in the US too. And now we can do that since the patent issued in May. To give you an idea of the market size, for vitamin D deficiency in Australia, there are 4 million people. That's a conservative number. That's a $1.5 billion market just in Australia. Look across this, and I'll bring this slide up again at the Q&A so you get a chance to look at it and study it and maybe ask some questions. But look across here on the size of these markets. $10 billion in the US, $40 billion market in Europe. Huge markets. Now, are we going to get those? Would love to. No. If you get 5% of that, 2% of that, a lot of money to be made here. We plan to be in commercialization July of 2016 in Australia, And you can see where we are on the other ones. Again, I'll bring this slide up at the end so you have a good idea of where we're going to be. What's our differentiated value? Well, you can go to the store today and buy D3 supplement. Not very expensive, really. What we're going to be able to do, though, is D2 and D3, supplements or diets or photosynthesis, can get hung up on body fat. So before it even gets to the liver, it may never get there because it gets hung up on body fat. After it goes through the liver, we've already beaten it because we're giving you 25-OHD. We don't have to get to the liver. Ours goes directly into the bloodstream. Once it's in the bloodstream, it can go to those cells and take care of 80% of your needs. We don't have to get to the liver. They do. That's a huge differentiated value. Second, our ease of delivery. We're a once a week. We're not a daily. You don't have to worry about taking yours every day and every day and every day. We're going to create a 4 soft gel blister pack. So you're going to have those 4 in a little packet. You'll punch one out on Saturday morning and don't worry about it again until the following Saturday morning. By doing that, we'll keep you between 30 and 75 nanograms per milliliter constantly. Last thing, we're going to be price competitive. Our business model is we need to raise funds at this point to get us to commercialization in Australia. It's going to cost us about $3 million to get there. Once we raise enough funds to get to our next milestone, then we feel we'll be at the point where we'll be willing to bring in a partner, or at that point, either bring them in or have another money raised and complete our development ourselves, and at that point, bring in a partner. Now, we're not in the business of distributing this drug, and it's going to be a prescription drug. We're not in the business to do that. We don't have that expertise, and entrepreneurs know that there are certain things that you can't do. We're not going to create a sales force and manage that. What we're going to do is either partner or we will exit. To give you an idea of what an exit is worth, we have one competitor in the U.S. That competitor is about 2 years ahead of us. They sold about 2 years ago in a phase that we'll be in about 8 months. We'll be where they were when they sold. They sold for $100 million. And with a kicker on it that once it goes commercial in the U.S., they get another $190 million. So exit is not a bad strategy.
Joe, I don't mean to cut you off, but we need to get on to the Q&A portion,
okay,
if that's okay.
This is the last slide. Our biggest challenge is raising the money. By doing that, these are the things that we can accomplish. So.
Okay, Jeff,
Good
with our
enough, Courtney?
panel, would you like to start out?
So if you could, you mentioned, I assume partner, co-founder who has all the patents or came up with this. How did you get connected with him, or what's the history there?
Well, this is really interesting. I said I was on my 4th career. I started off with in telecommunications, and I was with Southwestern Bell for 28 years. I retired from there as the assistant treasurer of Southwestern Bell. And the only reason I left when I turned 50 years old, is because my alma mater offered me an opportunity to be the head basketball coach and a business professor at Benedictine College. So I did that for 12 years, as doing both. And then they fired me as the basketball coach, but asked me to go full-time as a professor in the business department and help them with their graduate school. And so I did that for 2 years. That was my 3rd career. And during that time, though, I really missed the opportunity to know if you're winning or you're losing. You know, you get that in basketball, you get that in business. But in teaching, and a lot of you guys know this that are here today, in teaching, you don't know if you're successful or not, maybe for 15 or 20 years or maybe never, unless the students come back to you and they say, hey, I learned this from you. And because of that, I was able to do this. And that means so much to teachers. It means so much to them. So, and I miss that. I miss knowing if I'm winning or losing. Well, my neighbor 3 doors down, we have a really close-knit neighborhood. We were at a party one evening, and he asked me how it was going being a teacher, not a coach. And I said, I really miss the game, and I really missed. And he says, well, did you ever consider being back in business? And I said, yeah, I really do. He said, well, what would you like to do? I said, well, my experience is I'm really good at, I should know finance. So a CFO position is probably where I should be. And he says, I've got the patent, the license to a patent that's coming on for vitamin D. I'm going to need a CFO in about a year. He said, are you interested? And he said, yeah. So over a period of about 8 months, we met 4 different times for about 3 hours, decided this was a good match, and we made it happen. So the way he came about getting the patent is he was able to create a relationship with Dr. Hector DeLuca, who is the father of vitamin D, and he made that relationship back in the year 2000. And because of the relationship that they had, Dr. DeLuca offered him an opportunity for a license on a calcium patent. And this calcium patent is another interesting story that we're actually launching a new calcium product in beginning of November. But so GP, our owner, developed that. And then in 2009, Hector came back to him again and says, hey, I've got something that's going to knock your socks off with vitamin D. And so he licensed that to us also. So that's how it happened.
This is kind of 2 questions. You said it's going to be a prescription, and are there going to be different dosages of it, and are there any side effects? And then also the second part of it is, you see the market size, you say somebody's already sold out and licensed theirs. What differentiates yours from them?
Good questions. I'll answer your second one first. Our competitor is a firm that was known as Cytochrome. It was a Canadian competitor, and they're only competitor of ours in the U.S. They're the only ones that are developing, and they're developing in the U.S., nowhere else. Cytochroma, the Canadian firm, sold out for $100 million to OPKO Pharmaceuticals, which is a Florida company, very large company. So they sold out to them. They have a daily dosage. Ours is a weekly. Now, it's the same, practically the same thing. We're both giving you 25 OHD. However, and this is getting a little bit technical and somewhat into the weeds, but vitamin D 25 OHD has a half-life of 14 days, which means a half-life means 14 days from now, half of what you took is still circulating. 14 days after that, half of that is still circulating. So it stays in your system for a long time. Well, in order for them to get their arms around this and get a patent, what they did is they delayed release vitamin D. Now, when you delay release something that says you're going to take and spread it out even longer, well, it doesn't make sense. Now, if you have something that has a half-life of 3 hours, you want to spread it out, right? If you have something that has a half-life of 14 days, why would you want to spread that out? It's already spread way out. So we've got that advantage on them. We're once a week. We're not delayed release. You take it, we're going to get your blood levels right where it needs to be almost immediately. Okay, and the first part of your question, side effects, none. It's already, we're giving you what's already in your blood, okay?
The mic in a minute, there we go. So in 2003, I was in Australia when they started talking about vitamin D deficiencies. And at the time, they had a nice lamp that you could sit under for X number of hours a day to get your vitamin D. And they were selling it as a desk lamp, essentially. I'm curious how that's come along, and what the first thing that always popped in my mind at the time was, why not just spend more time outside?
That's great. If you can be outside, the sun is the best place for you to go. We can't compete with the sun. The problem is society doesn't stay outside. They don't go outside. And when they do, they put all these clothes on them. They lather up. The sun's UVB rays can't get to you. And if it doesn't get to you through photosynthesis, then you have to get it through your diet. And people aren't eating what they need to get vitamin D. So you become vitamin D deficient. It's all about cultures. That's what it is. When we were made, when God created us, He created us naked. And we were outside and the sun got us. And we got all the vitamin D we needed. But then we screwed up, ate an apple, and bang. Now we got to take supplements.
We would like to open it up to the audience for Q&A. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll come around with a mic.
Got a question back here to your left.
Yes.
How much does the prescription cost once you develop the product? And two is, will it be covered by insurance and Medicare?
Again, very good questions. It will be covered. It's going to be part of the plan. Will be a prescription drug. It'll be covered in the U.S. In Australia, it will be a prescription drug there, but we're going after vitamin D deficiency there, so our price is going to be a lot less in Australia than it will be in the U.S. In the U.S., our competitor is, right now, they're estimating that they're going to charge $300 a month for their product. And we'll be competitive with that. We won't be at 300. We'll be somewhat less than that. But, and it will be reimbursable in the U.S., so we're pretty excited about that.
Got another question here?
I came a little bit late, so if you answered this previous, I apologize. I know there's a difference between synthetically created products, vitamins or whatever you might want to call them, and natural. And I know in science, at least my experience and my knowledge has been that science takes the natural and recreates it in synthetic. Can you address that? And synthetic oftentimes isn't utilized by the body in the same manner that natural is. Can you address that, please?
I may need a little bit of help on that one. Does anybody here in the audience know anything about vitamin D and where it comes from that we're actually... Sir, how about you? You look pretty smart. Here's a...
This is a setup, by the way. Our CFO has done a great job. I'm GP Georges. I am the CEO. Your question is actually an outstanding question and one that has never been posed to me before. What is interesting is that when you manufacture 25-OHD, there is not a difference biologically whether or not you are producing 25D from a biological process, as Joe set out on the slide, or if you're taking the chemical manufacturing that is done through chemical reaction. They're both biologically equivalent, and that's a key distinction. I'm hoping that, and I'm not sure exactly who I'm looking to, but I'm hoping that answers your question. Is there a follow-up on that? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, this is GP Georges. He is the owner. He's the one that has the relationship with Dr. DeLuca. He's the reason that I am now back in business.
Question here on your right.
Could you give any advice to the entrepreneurs in the audience about the patent process and maybe the difference between the patent process here in the States versus the patent process that you all experienced elsewhere?
I can address it at a pretty high level, and I may need GP to help me with this one. The patent process is a lengthy process, especially when you're talking about pharmaceuticals and developing things. So for us, it took 4 years for us to get this patent, well, us, I say, Dr. DeLuca to get the patent okayed. Actually, it ended up being almost 5 years to get it okayed in the U.S. And the problem is, as you develop your patents, they can be challenged all the way along the way. And if they are challenged, then you got to go back and prove that your patent is unique. Okay, so it actually can extend the length of time it takes for you to get there. Now, that's the pharmaceuticals. I'm really not qualified to talk about if, say, you have a widget and you want to patent that widget. I'm not sure how long that process takes, but in pharmaceuticals, it really takes a long time to get there. It took us 5 years.
I've got another question here in the back, in the middle.
Yes, hi, thank you. So in looking at your slide and listening to your presentation, from the presentation, it sounds like the product is developed because everything that you're describing is a known pathway. But you need in Australia, $3 million of R&D funds to get to the point where you're in market, and $10 million in the US. What is that about? Where are you actually in your phase of development? What are the funds needed for? And also, it looks like in the US, you're only going to be able to address chronic kidney disease on the prescription. So do you anticipate off-label usage?
What was, I didn't hear that last part.
Off-label usage?
Yes.
Because is your patent specifically only addressing chronic kidney disease? What's the differentiation in the purpose is the second part of my question.
Okay, I'll answer your second part first, and since I'm elderly, I may have to come back and ask you the first part again. The second part of that is we attempted to go to the FDA originally for vitamin D deficiency. They recognize vitamin D deficiency as a disease state, but they will not approve us just showing that your vitamin D levels improve. They say we have to have one other biological marker that shows that the vitamin D we gave you improved something within your system. It's not good enough just to show that 25D went from 17 to 34. So GP's background is in nephrology, and his company is Cash Cow, is a nephrology company. Well, he's very familiar with renal disease, etc. So vitamin D is extremely important for renal patients. And therefore, what we did is we went in and said, okay, FDA, if you won't let us go after vitamin D deficiency, then we will go after chronic kidney disease stage 3 and 4. Not stage 3-5, or stage 5, which is the end stage. That's when your kidney doesn't function at all. Stage 3 and 4, your kidney still functions some. So if we give you 25D, you can get what you need even through the kidney. So that's why we went for this. It's called an indication. It's the purpose. That's why we went for that in the US. We didn't have to do that in Australia. Australia actually recognizes it as a disease state and has indicated to us that they will say, if you can raise it from 17 to 34, that's good enough for us. And the money, and talking about the money, why so much money to do it? Well, even though this is a known molecule and it's been around, it's actually been approved previously in the US and was taken off the market because there was a better mousetrap, basically, to take care of that stage 5 kidney disease. We have to still go in and prove that it's safe and efficient. And when you do clinical studies, they're extremely costly. Does anybody know how much it costs to bring a drug to market on average? $1 billion. $1 billion to bring a successful drug to market. Since ours has already been approved, we go to the FDA and the TGA down in, which is Australia's FDA. We go to them and say, this has already been approved in the US way back when, so it's nothing new. In Australia, they're telling us we aren't going to have to do clinical studies because it's already been proven that it's efficient and effective. So all of our time now and money on Australia is actually creating the drug, which we've got a New Jersey firm presently doing that. In the US, though, we got to go back and prove that it's safe and efficient. So it's going to cost us, we think, up to $10 million to get that done.
Joe, so there's one final question that we have for you. What can we do as a community to help you?
We want to get the word out to folks. You know, we've really been keeping it really a low-key type thing. And the reason was the patent hadn't issued in the US. So we didn't want to jeopardize the opportunity of that happening. So we haven't told anybody. We want to get the word out. Hey, we've got something in Kansas City that could really be big. And in order for that to happen, we're just like the rest of the entrepreneurs. You know, you need resources to make that happen. We don't have all the resources. We hire a lot of consultants. We're a very small firm. We hire a lot of consultants, and the R&D costs, et cetera. A lot of money is going to have to be generated. Not enough money out of the cash cow that we've got. So we've got to go out and help make that happen. So any networking we can do, we certainly would be open to that. And any advice that you can give us, especially if you've been in the pharmaceutical arena before, we're always happy to visit with people and see how we can get better.
Thank you.
All right. While our next presentation gets set up, I'd like to invite you to look on the back of your sheets. We've got several announcements for events here in Kansas City if you want to continue to stay involved in the entrepreneurial world and what's happening. We've got Get in the Ring. The North American Startup Classic is going to be Friday, November 7th from 5:30. If you haven't seen it before, it's kind of like a boxing ring, and two startups come in and pitch their company right there, kind of on the cuff. So it's a lot of fun. It's a cool event. Went on last year, and I believe a Kansas City company won last year, iVerify. So check that out. It's a lot of fun. Up next is our very own organizer, Brian Azorski, is going to talk to us about Tin Man Prints. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you. Real quick, I am not a doctor. We'll not be talking about the liver. So I'd like to introduce you to Tin Man Prints. But before I do, I want to remind you all that life is hard. We've all got way too many decisions to make. A good example is at home, when it's time to decorate the house, my wife and I, if we can't come to a decision together, we actually just don't make any decision. I came across this quote recently. It speaks for me. I don't know if it does for you. Good friend had that to say. Tin Man Prints creates custom photo prints on a vibrant metal aluminum medium. This can be used for the home or for the office. It can be used on a tabletop, as you may have seen displayed around, or on the wall. What makes us different is our custom magnetic floating mounting block that we've created. This plugs in to the back of our print with a magnet, and it attaches to the wall with a 3M command strip. So there's no holes that you have to put in your wall. So putting up a picture is very simple. It does not require a big decision. Here's an example. We've got these all around, and we've got a table for you to see after if you'd like to see them in person. Now, if you're like me and somebody asks you to put a nice group of photos up on the wall, it's going to take hours. You're going to put a bunch of holes in the wall. It's going to be a big pain. Well, we've created a tool that we call, nickname is the Marriage Saver tool. And this is hard to see, but basically we plug 3 of our blocks into these magnets here, and you can actually just rotate it to create more blocks and a bigger grid. Would you like to see a demonstration? Here I'm plugging in the blocks, got it against the wall, turning it around to add the 4th, just simply attaching the prints onto the blocks. Now what's fun is if you want to change the way it's displayed, it's really easy. I'm actually going to do a different configuration here. And I've got another set of blocks that are more artistic. And I'm going to put those up in a different form. And they're real easy to take off. Twist it and pull on the command strip, and then no damage to your wall in any way. Very simple. Our blocks come in 2 different depths, and they are obviously Instagram friendly. We've got a 3/4 inch depth and a 1/2 inch depth, so you can actually create kind of a collage on your wall, kind of a free form. In this case, I popped these up on the wall yesterday. When I took them off, I realized one of them's really crooked. It actually didn't matter. As you can see, you can level the prints any way you want. So it's simple to use. We've created our own custom, proprietary custom printing profile. So that's a big part of doing a good job printing with quality. My partner, Ben Gasser, is in charge of the printing and the profile. He does that for a living. So we've got great expertise in that area. The image, when you take a look at these up close, one thing you'll notice is the high gloss finish, and the image sits just microns below this poly-based coating. And it's very similar to what we see from our iPhones or from our computer screens that have a backlit display. This recreates that look very, very well, better than almost anything out there. Once again, these are great for the home, for the office, corporate presentations. We've partnered with Little Hoots and are doing some of their product manufacturing when they get ready. We can do an inspirational message. Thought you might like this one, but maybe not. We can do memes. Okay, that was very subtle. And that's it. I'm ready for questions.
All right, we'll go ahead and start with our panel. If you got a question, go ahead.
Brian, obviously I said I've known you a long time, and I know that you've had a lot of consumer experience in the apparel world, baguettes, the bags that you do through Zazzle. Can you talk about how you're going to use the things you've learned there with Tin Man?
Well, a couple things I've learned in the custom product development and manufacturing world is that if you were to make something, by mass, your quantity pricing is huge, so your price per piece is very small. But when you're doing custom products, your manufacturing process is very similar to if you do one of something or you do 20 of something. So, but the good news is you get to charge more. It's a more premium product because it's a one-off, it's a custom piece. And as many of you probably know, custom products are enormous these days. So we're right there with that. So it's a good business in my opinion because the margins are there. You're not just skimming by. Jeff.
So walk me through it. I send my photos to you, right, online?
Yes.
And then so walk me through how long you then ship me back everything, kit?
Yeah, so our website allows you to upload your photo. You can actually upload multiple photos. You could create your own little collage of many photos on one print if you'd like. You can add text to it. There's about 200 fonts available. And then we get that order, we produce it within a week, and we ship that out to you through the US mail.
So how do people find you today? I mean, other than showing up at Million
We
Cups.
launched we did a soft launch about a month ago, so we haven't been pushing, we haven't done much marketing about the product yet. So it's really been word of mouth. We were at an event called a Chick Event at Park Place, and that's where we were really previewing the product to real people.
Brian, I'm digging this. Tell me, okay, I'm going to ask the question I'm sure you thought I was going to ask. Where are you making them?
We're making them here in Kansas City.
Are you really?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to talk. Secondly, I'm loving the fact that it's basically Instagram. It's begging for Instagram interaction, right? So tell me about your interface a little bit. Are you able to sign in with your Instagram and basically pick from there and print? Tell me a little bit about that, because it seems like it's primed and ready for that.
It does plug in to Instagram and Facebook, but the API that they allow gives you a pretty small picture. So we're printing at 200 DPI, okay? And so it's good for a 5x5 inch print, but once you get bigger, you'd be better off taking the photo from your phone. I know on my phone, I've set Instagram to save the photo to my phone, my library as well as to Instagram, so I actually have that higher res version of the photo. And this photo here, This is an 8x8, and this was done through Instagram and taken from my photo library.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I mean, it would be a great way to take, like I said, from your Instagram to reality, right? Now, I'm interested. You launched it about a month ago, right? What kind of interactions are you planning on maintaining so that people continue to come back and refresh those photos? I mean, you know, redoing things. I mean, we all have different photos in our houses and offices and things like that. But I mean, you would think like it'd be a great opportunity to say, you know, do you want to refresh your photos?
Right.
You know?
Right. I think it's going to be important for us to be, you know, communicating to the customers and to give them ideas on what they can do. I think today there might be a lot of ideas thrown out about where this could be great for, and then kind of sharing that along with the community, you know, trying to create a community of where people are doing it. We'd love for people that have it up on their wall to share it online so we can all kind of see it. So using social media is a great place for that, and blogging about it. Made in Kansas City can help.
Brian, are the tools for hanging the blocks included every time, or is it an additional thing you buy?
There will be some sets. Like if you order 4 or more, you can have a price that bulks it together with the hanging tool. So we're still kind of in development of our hanging tools right now. But what we've created pieces out of cardboard. We've created pieces out of wood. It's been kind of a fun process. And there's more development for us to do in that area. Currently, the tools I have now are made out of acrylic.
I know that right now you're fulfilling really at the consumer level and people coming directly to your site. Is it something that in the future you think you could license the blocks to an MPix or a White House custom color type thing?
Right. We've got a patent pending on the technology we put together, the process. So we are interested in the opportunity to license the product with other people. Currently, you know, this is kind of our minimal viable product out in the market. So we're, you know, at this point, with the holidays around the corner, we're pretty much ready to fulfill the orders. We'll probably get serious about other opportunities after the first of the year.
What are the price points?
Pricing starts around $30 and goes up to about $85. We're doing 6 sizes, 5x5, 6x6, 8x8, 10x10, 12x12, and 15x15. So we have 6 sizes available.
It also seems like you've got a good opportunity with First Fridays and the art scene here in town to really kind of let people be creative with those things and open it up for others who maybe not have the luxury of being artists full time, especially for First Fridays. I mean, you could definitely see it down at the Kemper or something, maybe an exhibit, somebody messing with them as an expo.
Yeah, we're open to all types of opportunities.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and open it up to the crowd too. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll come by. I've got one right up front here, Brian, to start with.
On the triangle, you showed it with a smaller size. Do you have a different size triangle for the larger prints that you do?
Correct. We can develop that triangle to work for a variety of different sizes. The current triangle I created is made for a 6x6 or a 5x5. So from here, we'd probably go up to an 8x8/6x6 size. So it's multi-use, can be used for a variety of sizes. But if you go up to 15x15, it gets, you know, it'd have to be pretty big.
Your floating blocks, too, are one size fits all, right?
Yes, one size fits all.
So is there a way to make the triangle scalable so it's one size fits all so that whenever you package it, you just
We are considering some ways to do something that's scalable like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question in the back.
Your hanging device, what's the largest piece it can hold, like one device? And are you looking to print larger sizes than 15x15?
Well, as the prints get bigger, the metal does not stay flat. So what's common is that if you see some larger panels out in the market at the Plaza Art Fair, the Westport Art Fair, for example, so they put a substrate on the back called a gator board, which is a lightweight, kind of heavy foam, like a thick foam core. And those come with traditional hanging tools, wires. So as it gets bigger, it gets heavier. We don't want it to fall on the floor. If it does fall, Just like any image that's hanging, it could damage the print. So we're going up to 15 by 15. We feel like it's a good size for what we're doing.
Question here in the back to your left.
Hey Brian, I saw Tin Man for the first time like a couple months ago at our Kickstarter meetup, so I'm really excited for you to keep pushing on this, and congratulations on getting so far. As it relates to Kickstarter, have you considered, how's that going? Have you considered doing that? Or have you pitched, moved away from that idea? Basically, I know you said a soft launch, but what's your go-to-market strategy for this piece?
So we are planning to do a Kickstarter campaign. We'd like to raise some money to continue developing on our hanging templates and tools. We're looking to launch that in the next couple weeks, and I'll talk a little bit more about what's happening there in a few minutes.
So we got a question up front.
I was just wondering, say you want to move the images, what type of like surfaces, like on the picture, you know, the front surface, like if you're moving them, if you put them together, is it going to scratch and, you know, cause the image to be furry, blood, you know?
The image is very durable. It can kind of get a little bit scratched, but we haven't had that experience yet, have we?
By carrying samples around and they rub together and rub against other things, they tend to get, you know, minor scratches, but they're not visible for the most part.
Yep. Yep.
You hang it on your wall, it's not going to get scratched.
We keep them kind of wrapped in a bubble as we move them around.
Brian, I got another.
These are durable for weather. Actually, there's videos of people using a flame on them. They don't get damaged.
Great. I got another question front right.
Question for you. The tin, is it recyclable? I mean, let's say I have a picture, I've had it a long time, a bunch of pictures, and I want to send them back to you, recycle them, and I might want new images on them. Now, that's an idea, so.
All right, I don't know. Do you want your memories to be recyclable is the only thing I can think of to say to you.
They are made out of aluminum, so yeah.
I'll tell you what, if I put it in my recycle bin, I wouldn't, nobody's going to show up at the door. But I can't do anything. But.
Brian, I've got another question here in the middle.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
I wanted to know, is there a weight requirement?
A weight?
Yeah, what's the weight of the picture that you can hang on the wall?
Everything is less than probably a tenth of a pound.
Probably a little more than that, but you know. So.
All of our, the command strip and the magnet can each hold about 5 pounds, and we're well below that. So we haven't had any product falling off the wall. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Brian,
and that's part of us kind of, you know, having the full package here, so we know what's going to work.
Got a question to your left.
Brian, tell me a little bit about the manufacturing process and how much you would be able to scale this. If I sent you 100 pictures, do I get them in a week?
No. Not right now.
Todd, the way it would work is you would place your order. We would collect payment. Then we would, you know, in some cases, we may actually need to order some more raw materials, which takes a little bit of time, and then we would get it into production.
So you're doing each one of them as unique. Are you doing it out of the house, or I guess I was wondering how you could scale
we have
that.
a small production space where we work from.
Okay, thank you.
Question to your left, back.
This is somewhat of a twofold question for you. By no means am I a professional photographer, so a lot of my photos may not be as detail-oriented. Do you offer any kind of services that you may be able to help improve the pictures?
That's an excellent question. We haven't discussed that. There's a lot of options there. We might be able to make some quick tweaks on it. In my other business, Baguettes, we do custom photo bags, and quite often, as we process those for our products, we might increase the contrast or, you know, fix something. So yeah, we're not talking about that right now on the website of what we can offer, but I think that's a really good point.
The second part of it is you have your largest size picture. Would you be able to take a single picture and expand it into multiple frames, so that way you could then increase your size of that particular picture.
Yes, we've just experimented this week where we took a landscape picture of the
10 by 40 inch of Kansas City.
Yeah, 10 by 40 inch of Kansas City, and we actually put it on 4. We have the panels over here on the side. We did 4 prints with the 4 pictures, and it came out great. Not sure how I want to do that on the website just yet, but it is possible.
Question here?
Yes.
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
My question is somewhat related. It pertains to image quality, retaining that quality of image, because I know if I take a photo for Instagram on my iPhone, if I'm trying to blow it up to 15 by 15, you know, how do I know that I have enough pixels and whatever to make it, to retain
The online tool will actually tell you if you're getting into the red zone, so it's got an indicator.
Question in the back.
Courtney's getting a workout.
Okay, so the hanging setup that you have is really amazing, but the thing that I really love about it is that it's just magnet based. So you can pop those images off and replace them as often as you want. So is that something that you guys are gonna offer, like a 4x4 setup and you get 20 images printed with it and a little basket to put them all, and every time my kids come in the house, they can swap out the photos? Because it really is so simple that my kids could walk up and change the photos.
That's a neat idea. I like that.
Do it.
You know, with that comment, you know, one of the jokes is that, you know, when the family comes over, you know, we have the pictures of the kids with the grandparents up on the wall, and as the grandparents back out, you know, take off the picture of the mother-in-law and put up the picture.
Brian, I've got a question here in the back for you.
Brian, just real briefly, that triangle idea is magnificent. It's very smart. But for those of us that are anal retentive and OCD, the first thing we notice is not the art, it's how it's mounted. It'd be really easy for you to install a very low-cost bubble level on that triangle for those that can't stand.
Yeah, it's on there. I think it was falling off or something when I was.
Awesome.
We also, I actually want to bring this up. I've got another tool over here where we actually plug in a smartphone with a free level built in, which is even more accurate, theoretically more accurate, you know, if this is actually working. So there's a bunch of different options on how to do that. But I appreciate your question.
Got a question up front.
Awesome presentation, Brian. Obviously, I'm very biased towards you because he's one of our awesome Kansas City organizers that works his butt off every single week. So give a shout out to Brian. All right. My question is, have you given any thought to local artists being able to upload their art through here and sell it?
We have talked about that, and we've shown it with photographers first, so we're very open to those opportunities. We can offer some wholesale pricing.
Hey, Brian, over here. Here.
Sorry.
The voice of God over here. Yeah. I want to commend you for working with another Kansas City startup, Little Hoots, who I think I saw a couple of them here. It's a terrific partnership and makes all the sense in the world. And my only promotional idea is it seems like this would be a really, really, really good time to offer some kind of pictures from the World Series. So shoot us your Royals pictures and buy one, get one, and we can stick them on the wall forever.
Awesome. That's a great idea.
Brian, one final question before we let you go, and that is, what can we do as a community to help you?
Great question. Thank you, Milton.
Anytime.
Like everybody who comes up here that I help give advice, I say you should have a slide for this part. So we are going to launch a Kickstarter in the next couple weeks, and our goal with the Kickstarter is to actually be listed in Kickstarter's popular section. That's going to give us more visibility, and to do that, we want to hit at least 30% of our funding goal on the first day. So not too long ago, the creator, founder of Indiegogo was actually on this stage, and there was an excellent presentation. He made a beautiful comment. He said, when you do your early bird specials, when you launch your campaign, you should actually know who's going to be buying those early bird specials. So what a great opportunity for us to reach out to friends and family and get some input on what would you be interested in for an early bird special, so we can offer it to you and have basically like a limited, really good sale. So we've put some ideas together on that. And if you go to our website, tinmanprints.com, if you don't have a little card from your chair, I'd be happy to hand you one, or we've got some around by the coffee after. But tinmanprints.com, we've got a little form there that you can fill out. It'll actually sign you up on our mailing list if you don't mind, and you can tell us what you'd be interested in. And then as we get closer, we will send you a note to say we're launching on this day. If you're still interested, here's what you do. Okay, so that would be a huge help. I don't know if we really mentioned it, but I'm running a crowdfunding KC meetup group. And the goal of this group is really just to bring people together with experience. So I've learned this from the group myself. So it's been a fun group. I sometimes put it in the announcement sheet coming up. I think it's in the announcement sheet today. So if you're interested in crowdfunding, please join our meetup group. We also have a Facebook page, and it's all there for you. Thank you.
Let's give Brian a round of applause. Thank you, Brian.
You can do everything.
Did you all have fun? Well, thank you for coming out to 1 Million Cups again. A couple quick notes. Both of our presenters will be down here at the front. I know there were a few more questions that you didn't get to ask. So also, Brian has got a whole table set up over there with examples of his products. So again, thank you for coming out. We'll be here again next Wednesday, same time, same place.